Hello and welcome to That Football Podcast, your weekly dose of everything football. I am again with Austin Baldwin. We are in a different setting this time, trying something new out. But thanks for coming on again.
Yep, thank you very much. Happy to be on here again.
So now we've got something big. We've got to talk about Salah and his fallout with Arne Slot.
Yep, it was an interview after the Leeds game, the 3-3 draw, the game that Liverpool bottled 3-1 up, bottled 2 goals, wasn't good enough from Liverpool, and obviously Salah was benched that game after a few recent bad performances, and his interview got leaked on Norwegian TV saying he was thrown under the bus, he's lost his relationship with Arne Slot, the manager, and it seems like, on Salah's point of view, it seems like, Arne Slot's kind of losing the dressing room a bit, which could be one of the reasons why could be the cause of Liverpool's fall off this season.
96th minute Tanaka equaliser.
Yeah, that was limbs from Leeds, and that's a huge result for Leeds. Daniel Farke was in an immense amount of pressure until he got that hard-fought game against Man City, then the draw against Liverpool and the win against Chelsea to save his job. And, Leeds have just been terrific lately.
And the inconsistencies again shown by Liverpool this season.
Yeah, inconsistency showed, just conceding a lot of goals, don't they? They get the goals, which is good, but the back, it's leaking a lot. That Ibrahim Konate mistake, giving away the penalty, what was he doing? That was absolutely shocking from Konate. Another bad moment to add to his horrific season so far. Liverpool 2-0 up in courtesy of Hugo Ekitike. They bottled that 2-0 lead. Liverpool got thought they were getting a winner, and obviously Tanaka put that, a goal in the back, put that shot in the back of the net from the set piece, and they share a point.
Now, before we go on to the main point, which is the Salah shock interview, you were right. As a few podcasts, maybe 1 or 2 ago, you said most consistent player Dominic Szoboszlai, goal today against Leeds.
Yeah, he's putting in 7 and 8 out of 10s every week. If Liverpool didn't have Dominic Szoboszlai, I think that would be even lower in the table. He's just such a hard worker. He gives 110% every game, pops up with a good goal. He's been by far their best player this season. And second, their second best player this season has probably been Hugo Ekitike, who obviously got 2 goals. He's been their highest goal scorer so far this season, showing his money's worth. He's been so much better than Isak. Maybe he needs to be the locked-in number 9 for Liverpool now. But back to Szoboszlai, what a consistent player. He's been one of the best midfielders in the league this season, and by far their best player this season for Liverpool.
Yep. Salah shock interview. Now, it's aimed at Slot after that Leeds game, but he was left out. Now, what do you take on this? He said, it's not acceptable for me to be benched again, and I don't know why this is happening for me. They throw me under the bus, as you said. I had a good relationship with the manager, and then all of a sudden, we do not have any relationship. I don't know if it seems to me if someone doesn't want me in this club anymore. Now, what are your opinions on this?
Okay, well, the thing is, I know it feels like he's trying to make it sound like Slot has lost the dressing room. I don't really know, though. The thing is with Salah, he can't just be going out like that or whinging about not playing and stuff. Yes, I understand he's done so much for Liverpool Football Club. He's done so much for them throughout the years. But if you're not playing well, if you're consistently not playing well, you have to be benched. It's just how it works. If you don't play well, you get benched. Simple as that. He's got to face the reality. He's not getting thrown under the bus. He's just not playing well. And just as simple as that. Just fight for your position, get back in your position, and just play well. Salah's just whinging on TV about it. He just needs to realise, I'm going to say it again, if you don't play well, you're on the bench.
But do you bench a superstar like that?
Yeah, I understand it's a bit harsh considering what he's done for the club, but this season he's been completely off it. Absolutely completely off it. And, maybe Slot's just trying to find something new to see what's going to work for the team, because obviously Salah, he's not been impactful at all this season compared to last season where he was stunning. But this season has not been up for it.
As a club legend, obviously, I think he's the best right winger the Premier League's ever seen.
Yeah.
But as a club legend, should this treatment be happening to him?
Maybe not to this extent. Maybe but he was only been benched for 3 games, so he's probably going to come back in the starting 11 at some point. But it's with any player. If you're having a bad run of form, it's just not good enough. you have to get benched for like a couple of games.
It is the manager's, it's their duty
Yeah.
that they do not look at the team. They just want to see, how can I win this game? What sort of players do I need to win this game?
Yeah.
What are the best players that can win me this game?
Yeah.
But he's come out now a few days later and said the relationship's broken with Slot.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate. It's never good when a player falls out with a manager. But at the end of the day, no one's bigger than the club. No one's bigger than the club. Some players have to learn that. I don't care how much of a legend you are of the club. Nobody is bigger than the club. That is a fact. End of.
And because of this, he's hinted at Brighton will possibly be his last game at Anfield as a Liverpool player.
Yeah, I know. It's a sad day for Liverpool, honestly. It's a sad season for Liverpool, what they're going through right now. There's so many defeats on the road, and it's just simply not good enough. And it's getting from bad to worse.
And it doesn't help that also, again, that Champions League squad left out against Inter.
Yeah, just get left out of the squad. That is harsh, I reckon. Getting benched is not too harsh, but being left out the squad, considering what he's done for the club, you cannot leave him out completely out of the squad. That is very, very harsh. Just leave him on the bench and just sub him on 60th minute and see what he can do. But again, that's what I think. If you're not playing too well, you just get benched.
Do you think it's maybe a statement by Arne Slot?
Yeah, it could be, maybe because some Liverpool fans have been going out saying he's a bit soft. He's consistently playing like the same lineup and it's still not working. Consistently playing his new signings, which haven't been up to the standard. And, and now he's, playing his, players that won the title for him in midfield, like Curtis Jones, McAllister, Szoboszlai, playing that consistent midfield, because it worked last season. With Gravenberch as well on the team, they're starting that up over again. They got that win. They got that win against Inter, which was very, very big. And, it is a statement from Slot. He's going to the Liverpool fans saying, you know what, I'm not as soft as you think. I'm playing the lineup that I know that works, and just can go from there.
Now, does this possibly hint at a January move? Will maybe he accept that Saudi offer that was offered to him, what was it, last season or something?
Last season, yes, because Al Ittihad have been linked with him for ages. And, a Saudi move does seem possible.
Especially at his age, he's probably looking to, just play for fun, earn a bit of money.
Yeah, like what most European players are doing now. Go to Saudi, get the money, get that brilliant paycheck, provide for your family, all good.
Would you believe it's possible, though? Or would he maybe stick through? Obviously, he loves Liverpool. He comes out, he says, I'll always love this club.
Yeah.
Will he maybe stick through it? Or, so there's three options. Will he stick through it? Will he go Saudi? Or will he stay in Europe? What is your best opinion, your estimated guess?
Okay, well, I cannot see him going anywhere else around Europe. I can't, unless he goes back to Roma or something, but I can't see that happening. Saudi seems realistic, but I feel like Salah does have that mentality of sticking through. So I reckon he'll suss out Liverpool for the rest of the season, I reckon, and he will get more minutes along the way, I reckon. He just needs to work hard in training, prove himself in games. And we all know how good of a player he is. So, yeah, I reckon he'll stick through.
One last point on this. It's crazy how it's now him leaving when at the start of the season, remember that he had to sign that contract because his contract was running out and he signed, what was that, an 8-year extended contract or something crazy, 5 or something 8 year.
Yeah, it's just Liverpool just in a bit of a mess this season, It's just, we just don't know what happened. We just don't know what's happened with them this season. Defending champions, they're not defending that title very well. It's just getting bad to worse for Liverpool.
Yep. Moving on now, going to France, and Mason Greenwood is firing for Marseille now. 20 games, 13 goals, 4 assists, 17 GA.
That is exceptional stats
as a winger. Greenwood. As a winger,
exceptional. He's a very versatile attacker. He can pop up in many different positions. We saw that at Man United, popping up through the ranks at United in 2019 onwards. He is just a pure finisher with both feet, as we saw at Man United, as we're seeing now at Marseille, getting all these goal contributions. One of the most two-footed players I've ever seen. I've always rated Greenwood. Those allegations were very unfortunate, but he's gone back to where he was in his Man United days, scoring goals, both feet, making impacts, brilliant statistics. I've always rated Mason Greenwood. I think he's an absolutely exceptional player, and I think he could get a Premier League move.
January Prem.
January, maybe January Prem. Maybe not a top six. Maybe a team competing for top six. I can see him going to a team like Villa. He'd be sick with Villa, or maybe as a Semenyo replacement for Bournemouth because there's moves of him leaving Bournemouth.
Yeah, it's leaked out. He could move. He is a standout player this season, Semenyo, but maybe he could fill that role.
Yeah, maybe he can. And with Semenyo is 2-footed as well, but he's not as 2-footed as Mason Greenwood. Mason Greenwood is just a pure finisher, and he can play a similar role to Semenyo for how versatile of an attacker he is. I think it'd be perfect. I think that'd be a good buy for Bournemouth with the Semenyo money if they sell him to a top six team.
Well, he's doing very well this season. Marseille doing very well. Don't forget, maybe a few weeks ago, they beat Newcastle in the Champions League 2-1.
Yep.
And they have a tough matchup against PSG in a Trophée des Champions final. The winners of Ligue 1 versus winners of the Coupe de France. Same as the Community Shield.
Yeah.
Same rules as, obviously, domestic double, the runners-up from the league play them.
Yeah.
Now, do you think that's a test for Marseille against PSG, champions of Europe?
Yes, I think that's a good test because PSG have not been up to the races compared to their form last season. They've dropped some points lately, and some signings. Their goalkeeper Chevalier has not been up for it now. He's been replaced by Sylvanov, their second choice. I think PSG are really going to have a tough game against Marseille. I think Marseille, I reckon they could actually cause an upset that game.
Coming up, 9th of Jan, that is definitely one to see. But we're going to kind of stick on this. It's like a subtopic. Since it's basically the same thing as Community Shield. Now, I want your opinions. Do you think it's better how the Community Shield is before the season, or like they do it in France, that is in the middle of the season?
Maybe during January, because I feel like just before the season, I don't think the players will be as fit, if that makes sense, because they're fresh off pre-season and they haven't been playing games. But since you're in the middle of the season in January, you're playing a lot of games, training a lot, you're up to standards, fully fit. I think the intensity of the game will be better.
But also, there's a counter-argument for that. As you said, there's more games. Don't forget, people like PSG, they're playing Champions League, they're playing Ligue 1, they're probably playing French Cup as well.
Yeah.
3 different competitions, and then another one on top of this. Fatigue comes into it.
Yeah. Actually, to be fair, having it in August and just getting it done out the way, I think that, maybe that's a better time to have a Community Shield final or a final like that in August. Just get it over and done with, fresh before the season. Yeah, I reckon that's better. I regret saying what I said before. I think having it in August is better.
And also, I think it's more of a big kind of thing. Obviously, people, they ride off the Community Shield. They take it like a Mickey Mouse trip. They don't really count it. But in France, they kind of count. It's like a big thing. Do you like it like that, or do you like it just Community Shield, a worthless, not really counting trophy?
No, I think the Community Shield is a good counting trophy, because, it's sort of, when you win it, you're making a statement for yourself for the season ahead. And look at Crystal Palace. Yeah. They beat Liverpool in the Community Shield final, making a statement, putting their name out there, and they're currently in the top 7 in the Premier League right now. And let's say if Marseille win it, they're really putting a statement out there in France saying, we're going to compete with PSG for the league as well. We're going to go all the way to the end. Marseille, they're more than capable of winning this cup final.
Okay, perfect. All right, now Neymar and his magic. So he's got an injury on his knee, meniscus injury in his knee. Needs surgery. Refuses to play. Refuses to have surgery. He wants to play on. Santos, currently in relegation. What does he do? Goal. Next game, hat-trick. The next game, assists, 3-0 victory against Cruzeiro, R9's former side, and he saves Santos from relegation.
Absolutely incredible. That's what we love about football. Players going back to their childhood club, giving absolutely everything for the club that they truly love, and playing through an injury, getting stats like that, saving your club from relegation. And, it's a big thing in Brazil as well. The fans are super passionate. When you get relegated, they will really turn against you. It means so much to the fans, and it meant so much to Neymar. Obviously, playing through that injury, making him survive relegation, the scenes was absolutely incredible from Santos. And apparently, I think he's signed another year on his contract as well, being extremely loyal to the club. It's just beautiful, honestly.
6 G8 in 4 matches while battling a knee injury. Imagine the amount of steroids or stuff they would have poked into him to make him go through those matches.
Oh, it's ridiculous. He's giving absolutely everything for his boyhood club. That's the beauty of football.
Yep. So, Santos relegated December 2023. As you know, the season goes until December. This relegated 2023. On the verge of relegation from this year, December 2025. Neymar basically single-handedly takes the club and lifts them out of the relegation, and they stay another year in the Brazilian Serie A.
It's incredible because you would never see, it's absolute mayhem for a club like Santos to be relegated to Serie B. They're such a big club in Brazil. That's just a scene that should never happen for Santos.
Maybe it's some questions also the club, because this happened a few years ago. Now it's happening again. What is happening down there?
Don't know. Maybe don't know. Maybe the squad's been depleting in quality year after year, and obviously it's great they brought in Neymar, who can really put them over the line in games, and he's proved that by surviving from relegation.
I think it's inevitable for a Neymar statue in Santos, don't you think?
Yeah. He needs one. He should have got one when he left back in 2013, I reckon. Absolutely exceptional for the club.
Where does that put him with Pele? I'm on just Santos, him, Pele, and Neymar.
To be honest, I don't really know because obviously we've never really watched Pele, but we all know how good Neymar is. We've watched Neymar. His years at Barcelona are incredible. I think he's in the top 5 best players of all time. I think he's better than Ronaldinho. I think he's better than the likes of Zidane. Neymar is just one of the best players of this generation. It's so unfortunate that he got injuries. It's so unfortunate that he was in the era of Messi and Ronaldo. Messi and Ronaldo in their prime at their absolute peak. Neymar was always going to struggle winning that Ballon d'Or. And that's the thing. People say, Ronaldinho's won Ballon d'Ors. But if Neymar was in that era with Ronaldinho, Neymar would have easily got about 2-3 Ballon d'Ors. Easy.
You're talking about the era where possibly the 2 best players at the same time, in the same years, 8 months apart from their birthdays, rival clubs, Madrid, Barcelona, left foot, right foot. It's the perfect, it's the hardest era of all time in football.
Exactly. How are you going to win a bloody Ballon d'Or in that time frame? Every year it's Messi or Ronaldo. It's so hard to win the Ballon d'Or up against them two, their absolute peak. So it was unfortunate for Neymar. And that's the thing. I'm saying it again. If he was in Ronaldinho's era in the 2000s, in the earlier 2000s, he would have won Ballon d'Ors. 3 Ballon d'Ors at the max, I reckon.
Big statement from Austin. We'll see if the comments agree with him.
It was just unfortunate that he was competing with Messi and Ronaldo. That's all it was.
That's a good take. Now, on to the final bits. Now, this is obviously signings that have just happened. But obviously, as we know, with signings, if it is completed outside the January transfer window or transfer window in general, that's fine. But the player will not come to the club until the transfer window opens.
Yeah.
Okay, starting off with your club, AC Milan. They have signed a 20-year-old Colombian fullback, Juan Arizala. 3 million euros plus a sell-on clause.
Yeah, I think it's a good scouting in South America. We've obviously done scouting in South America in the past. We already have 2 right backs in the first team, Atacam and Salamakers. Salamakers has been exceptional at right back. So I think he's going to be one of those players who'll be sent out on loan to another club in Europe, see what he does, maybe go back to Milan, play some Coppa Italia games, Supercoppa, stuff like that. Maybe have a league appearance in him. I think it's a good bit of a cheap business. Could be a great wonder kid in South America. We'll see how he grows as a footballer. I don't know too much about him, but it's good that we're signing some young prospects.
Now, don't mark my words on this, but I do believe, not 100% sure, this is the biggest signing in Colombian football, like the league. A signing from a Colombian club to another club. I'm pretty sure this is the biggest one.
Yeah, going to a club like AC Milan from the Colombian league is a huge step. AC Milan, top 5 biggest clubs in the history of football. It's always huge to play for a club like Milan. It's such a privilege. Generally, anyone would die to play for a club like Milan or Juventus or Man United or Real Madrid or Barcelona, like the big dogs of Europe. It's such a privilege. And you know, if he's a wonder kid in South America playing very well in Colombia, he's deserved that move for sure.
Obviously, you said he might get some games, Supercopa, blah, blah, blah. Do you think he has a chance to maybe get into that AC Milan starting 11, looking at it?
Not at the moment, because Alexis Salamakers at right wing back under Allegri has been absolutely exceptional this season. We're currently 1 point off top of the table. He's just been one of the best right backs in the league. Being an average winger in Serie A under many Milan managers to now excelling at that right wing back role under Allegri. He's been superb. And obviously our backup as well, Zachary Atakam, we got him from Young Boys as a right back. He's been good off the bench. I can't see him starting in the starting 11 off the jump. So I reckon we could play him in like Coppa Italia and then maybe send him out on loan to another club in Italy to get maybe like Serie B, see how he goes in the country, get used to the football in Italy and, see if he can grow as a footballer.
Nice. Okay, now Nico Paz back to Madrid. That is the question, because the buyback clause is currently not available for January transfer window, but Madrid want Nico Paz, and Nico Paz said yes, and it is available in June, the buyback clause.
Nico Paz has been absolutely exceptional this season for Como, probably the best midfielder in Serie A this season, or Luka Modric, but I think it's been Nico Paz, 6 goals, 6 assists, 12 GA in about 16, 17 games in Serie A this season for Como, who are currently 6th in the table. Only a small town in Italy in the north, and they're 6th in the table. Nico Paz has been an integral part of that. 12 GA, 17 games for a team like Como is absolutely ridiculous. And I can see him playing for Real Madrid. He's good enough to play for that Madrid team. But the question is, would he add to the player power problems at Real Madrid?
That is the big question. We've been speaking about that a lot. The player power is ridiculous in Madrid, and that's what's kind of killing them.
Yeah, that's why I think maybe Madrid is not the best move for him. Maybe he could go to, maybe a Premier League club. Maybe he could do well in the Premier League. But hey, we'll see if he goes back to Real Madrid. But will he get enough game time? Will the player power get worse? I don't know. Maybe he could go to a bigger club in Serie A, but we'll see, because Nico Paz is an exceptional player.
As you mentioned, exceptional player. 2 Serie A Rising Star awards.
Completely deserved. Super consistent the last 2 seasons. Popping up with goals, assists for Como. And, Como, again, they're a small town in the north of Italy. Yeah. They're a small area, small club. Seeing them excelling in 6th and 5th place is absolutely incredible. And he's been the key part of that.
Exceeding expectations. 10 mil buyback clause.
That is a bargain. Yeah. That is a bargain. I reckon he could go for 50 million, genuinely. I think he's genuinely, ridiculous. And I think he should start for Argentina.
He did get called up for Argentina.
Yeah, deserves.
We'll see what happens with him. But eyes on Nico Paz for possibly June move back to Madrid. Now, last thing of the podcast today. Alisson, 19-year-olds from Gremio, goes to Villa. Villa have signed him for £10 million plus 2 million add-ons. Do you know much about this kid?
I don't know much about him. I don't know much of the Brazilian Serie A, but I've got a mate who supports Corinthians in that league. Maybe I should ask him about Alisson from Gremio. I maybe should ask him about it. But, we've seen many players for the Premier League from South America coming to the Premier League and excelling. Maybe he could be one of those bright young talents. We've seen Esteval recently from Palmeiras. So look how good he's been for Chelsea. Young Brazilian talent from the
Palmeiras.
Yeah, from Palmeiras, and obviously we've seen other South American players come through the ranks in the Premier League. Moises Caicedo to Brighton, excelling for years, gone to Chelsea, probably one of the best midfielders in the league, if not the best. And
Gabriel Martinelli came from Brazil.
Well. Yeah, came from Brazil as well. Gabriel Jesus, Palmeiras to Manchester City in 2016. So many Premier League players have came from South America and absolutely exceeded. And Esteval was the most recent one. So maybe that could be a very smart buy from Villa.
Maybe. All right, that is enough covered in today's podcast, episode 20. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for Austin for coming on again.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm happy to be on here again.
And we'll see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to check out our X channel and Spotify channel. We'll see you guys soon. Take care.